All right, good morning. Obviously just came off the practice field straight up here, so a little bit hoarse, and I will be continuing to drink water. But again, just want to say I'm honored and proud to obviously take this responsibility of leading the football program over these next 8 games. It's something that I take very seriously as an alum and a former football player here at Georgia Tech. So this is a responsibility that I will take very seriously and give everything that I have, as well as the coaching staff give everything they have throughout this process. Obviously thankful for President Cabrera and Frank for this opportunity, and that to give me this responsibility. But at the same time, this is a bittersweet sort of time with what has happened in the last couple of days with Coach Collins and Todd being both of those people that I've known for a long time, gave me the opportunity to come back home and to be here at Georgia Tech. So, but that being said, we have to move forward, we have to look forward, and we have a game to play this Saturday. This is about what's best for the players. Yesterday, as everything kind of unfolded, we had a staff meeting, laid out the expectations for the staff, expectations for the players, then had a team meeting last night, laid out the expectations for the players, told the players that I want them to have ownership in this, and I want this to be coaches can lead, but the players need to drive the ship, and we have to allow those players to do that. But at the same time, when you give players that responsibility, comes the accountability that comes with it. So it's a two-way street where they have to understand both of those things, where if there's going to be some give, there's got to also be the accountability that goes along with it. As these things were going on yesterday, first thing we did was we went upstairs and we hunkered down and had probably 2.5 hours of special teams meetings. I would like to go ahead and announce that Jason Seymour has been promoted to from not only linebacker coach, but also special teams coordinator. So he will be running the special teams along with everyone else on the staff, and immediately working to fix some issues that we've had. Then our goal is to go out and play the best brand of football that we possibly can, and to give the kids a great chance and a great opportunity every Saturday to know that they have an opportunity to go out there and compete and win, and to make, obviously, the Georgia Tech alumni and fan base very proud. So that being said.
Okay, for questions for Coach Key, same thing. I'm not sure Coach Key knows everybody's name and face, so if you could introduce yourself, your name and your outlet. Also, completely understand that a lot of the questions are going to be over what happened the last 2 days and everything like that. Feel free to ask all those at some point. For the people who cover the beat every day, we will turn it over to questions about the Pitt game this week. So, Kelly, if you want to get started.
Hey, Brent. Kelly Quinlan, Jackets Online. Just curious about the 10th coach situation. Are you going to promote somebody or bring someone in to kind of fill that role so you have another hand?
Yeah, we eventually will, Kelly, but that is something I don't want to rush into. When you're talking about someone that's going to be hands-on around your players every single day, that's a responsibility that I take very seriously, who we bring into the program to be able to help us, and it has to be someone that fits the exact role that we have available and what we need from me personally, but also what the players need and what can help us best put ourselves in the best position. So it is not something that I'm rushing to do today. But it is something that I've already put a lot of thought into, and with a bye week coming up in 2 weeks, you can kind of look at that as a kind of a safe zone, as a time when some other of those things will take place.
Doug.
Doug Robertson with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. How in this 2 questions, how in this new role can you help this team get the season turned around, because it can still be saved, y'all can still qualify for a bowl? And 2, do you consider this kind of a tryout for to be the next coach full time?
So first question, we have to work, we have to get to work. Players respond to the organization that it's in front of them. Players respond to discipline that's given to them. And we have to make sure that our players are put in a position every Saturday to win football games. That's the easy thing to say. Okay, well, you're only as good on Saturday as you are on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, whether it be the detail that you have in practice, the discipline that you have in practice. And for us as coaches to be able to demand those things from the players, to be able to clean up a few things that obviously have plagued us in the first 4 games that, didn't happen once, didn't happen twice, but have happened over and over. But to fix those things as a staff, to be able to give that to the kids, for them to be able to do the best job they can on Saturday. And as a player, especially as a football player, and especially as a young player, the more you have to think about things, the slower you're going to play, the more hesitant you're going to be. So our job, and what I've told the staff, is we want to empower these kids. We want these guys to be able to go out and play as fast as they possibly can, to play as hard as they possibly can, and be free of thinking about things. So if we have to simplify things, but whatever we have to do to allow the kids to do that, well, that again comes back to the practice habits that we have, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that they gain the confidence in practice that they're going to have success on Saturday. I talked to the team today, and I told them, I said, there's a big difference in this game of not wanting to lose and wanting to win. That's a big difference. And as a player, when you're sitting back not wanting to lose a game, right, you're not free to go out and try to make plays. We're sitting back waiting for something to happen. And you see it on the sidelines in games. And it's not just the players, it's coaches as well. People are waiting for things to happen. And they're waiting for bad things to happen, all right? Waiting for good things to happen. Well, finally something good happens. We need to go out and make things happen. And we have to give the players, we have to empower the players during the week and during practice that you're free to go make things happen. We can't sit back and wait on things. We can't try not to lose. Right? Otherwise, it's going to be a wasted opportunity for those kids each week. Second part of the question is, as a Georgia Tech alumni and a former football player, I think this is one of the greatest jobs in the country. And I would hope over the next eight games in the next 10 weeks that our work on the field would put our coaching staff in a position to be able to have those conversations. And again, this is not about me. There's not one thing about me. I told the players, I don't want it being about myself or the coaches. All right, this is about the players. All right, this isn't about trying to get a job. This is about a job we have and a job we have to do and a job we take very, very seriously with these kids.
Hi, Brent. Paul Newberry from Associated Press. You talked about the kind of the bittersweet where you're trying to press forward, but know that a lot of people are probably, a little stunned or upset at what happened. How do you, how's it been to go through these past few days and weeks with the kind of things that have been bubbling around the program and dealing with that, yet trying to press forward? Yeah,
as coaches, and myself, if you eliminate yourself from the external distractions, it's a lot easier to focus on what you have to do. And to eliminate those external distractions, throughout the day, it's easy for us as coaches to talk about that and to do that. It's a lot harder for the players. So then it becomes a little bit of a strain of, knowing the players are hearing things, even though we're trying to avoid them and stay focused on the task at hand. So things have happened. There's a reason why President Cabrera made the decisions he made. And as the head football coach now, my job is to have everyone to move forward. And we don't have time to continue to look in the past. We have a job to do, and as I said, a job that myself, our coaches, and our players take very serious, and we have to press on and move forward. And our goal is a simple one. It's to win each day. And we're not worried about, when Saturday comes, we're not worried about 3 weeks from now. We're not worried about 10 weeks from now. I want these guys to wake up and have the freedom to, hey, I woke up and I was on time. I won it. I won that play. All right, I had a good meeting. I won that play. Win each individual play on the field. All right, win each team period on the field. Let's put a whole day together. And if we have more kids on our team put an entire day together than don't, all right, we'll have a chance every Saturday.
I'll go Geoff, and then Rod, come back.
Geoff Schultz of The Athletic. I'm just curious, this is the first time you've been in this position. Did you seek any advice from anybody else who's ever been an interim head coach? And because obviously it's a difficult situation to step into, especially at this stage of the season.
Yeah, Geoff, I've been very lucky in my career to work for some outstanding head football coaches. And I'm very fortunate to those guys that have reached out to me, as well as allowed me to reach out to them to to seek advice, and a lot of it was some very, very good advice that I've taken to heart.
Anybody?
A lot of them. A lot of them. Most of them.
Rod, right here.
Naturally, you had a different practice routine when you were exclusively with the offensive linemen. How has your practice day changed now, and have you changed any of the procedures that are part of the script in practice?
Yes, we have. I'm not going to get into details of practice planning and organization, but know that was one of the first things we have done is it made some adjustments in the way we practice. Some of the flow of the practice and some of the routine. Yes, we have. Again, don't want to get into the details of that, but it was the first time in 20 years now that I've walked out on a football field and offensive line's doing individuals, and it's like a magnet pulling you over there, wanting to go over there, and then the second time was the one-on-one pass rush is going on, and I'm like a magnet trying to go over there to it and having to pull myself away. But it was good to be able to put eyes on the other side of the football, to be able to be involved in special teams. It allows you to really see a whole other aspect of what's going on out there, and be able to help and give help and advice in all areas now.
We'll take a few more. We'll go Ken, we'll get Doug and Michael, and then we'll turn to Dave.
Hey, Brent. Ken Segar with the Journal-Constitution. If you answer a couple things. One, like, how did you learn that Geoff had been dismissed? And then second, how did you learn that you were the interim, and just kind of what were your reactions to both?
Well, obviously, I think it was Sunday or whatever, all the rumors, and we were in the office and game planning for Pitt, and when you have a flood of 50 text messages come through at one time, and everybody's phone in the staff room is buzzing, something's going on. But we did not know officially until yesterday, late morning, and then kind of around shortly after that was when I was informed of it by President Cabrera.
Doug?
You talked about the player wanting to have the players play faster. I know you can't make a whole lot of schematic changes because you're already deep into the season, but what can the supporters expect to see Saturday, offense, defense, special teams against Pitt, that is going to enable the players to?
Yeah. As you said, schematically you can't change, and I do believe in a lot of things schematically that we have been doing. Obviously there are adjustments being made within that, but we have to play fast consistently. And if you look at the game last Saturday, where there were times where, and this is a typical Georgia Tech type thing. We had our meetings yesterday morning with the players, and we got to the play where Nate McCollum ran all the way across the field on the strip, and he started on the 5-yard line on the far side of the field. Well, it was the far corner pylon that he made the play, and I'm like, gosh, that's got to be more than 95 yards. Well, a guy in my room, in the offensive line room, really quickly drew it out, sketched it out, and said, actually, coach, it was 136 yards. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how can you figure that out? And he goes, oh, it's just half the diameter of this. And I mean, I was like blown away. But those things that show up show kids playing fast. They show that we did not play fast against Ole Miss. We didn't look fast. They were a lot faster than us. Well, let's take it back to practice. We did not have a good week of practice the week before. We had a better week of practice last week, and I thought it showed on Saturdays in the way we moved around and flew around and the confidence level that we played in, that we played with. But we have to consistently do that. And the challenge for young men is, well, Coach told me last week we didn't practice well, and we lost. Coach told me this week we did practice well, and we lost. But we lost in both of them. So you have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge these young men as men, and the character that they have, and the reasons why they play this game of football, to continue to do that. Because if you do continue doing things the right way, we will have success at the end of it. So,
Michael, and then we'll take one from Dan, then we'll move on to questions about Pitt for our beat writers.
Michael with the AJC. You mentioned earlier that you think this is a great job, and I assume a lot of that is because of your personal connection to
Right.
Tech in this place. But looking at it from as objective as you can, what are the aspects of this job that make it a good job in your opinion?
well, it's one of the rare places in the country that you can combine the academic degree and the success that comes after the life after football along with the ability to play the game of football, and then the locale in the city of Atlanta. So when you put those together, you do have a recipe of, location, education, and sport. So those are really, the three factors that kids look at when they're looking to make decisions in recruiting. So location is what it is. It's a destination location in the Southeast, if not the entire country. And then the academics, the history and the proof speaks for itself. And then it's going to be up to, the football program to put itself in the same light and the same level. So now you have a three-headed monster that you can recruit to.
Dan?
Coach Dan Matthews, 6A The Fan. 2 parts. You mentioned about having those conversations at the end of the season. Do you address with your coaches the reality of, the future's uncertain, so obviously it's going to be kind of hard to just focus on here, but also, too, what do you tell your recruits about this entire time?
Yeah. Yes, you do. I mean, it's black and white. I mean, we're grown men. We understood this when we got into this profession, that this is the reality of this business. But at the same time, the job we do for the next 10 weeks will help dictate where everyone does end up. That's the way you have to look at it, because if you sit back and say, oh, well, there's no hope or no reason to do this, and you're constantly on your phone and looking to try to find the next job, well, now you're taking away from the kids, which are the most important thing that we do. And people see that. People know that, and that's going to end up hurting people at the next job, next spot they try to go. So it's up to us to do our best and dig a little deeper to give the kids a little bit more. And you have to look at it from an individual standpoint when you're talking about grown men with families and lives, that you've got to work your tail off now for these next 10 weeks to try to put yourself in an even better position. And then with recruits. With recruiting, it's honesty, and spent a large part of yesterday talking to all the commits. I'll spend tonight, talking to the rest of them to tell them exactly what's going on, exactly where we're at. But at the same time, in this profession, and as a recruit, very rarely are you ever going to commit to a school and there's not a change somewhere along that coaching staff. So. You have to really dig deep as a young man and with their family and decide, why did you commit to Georgia Tech? You didn't commit to a person, you committed to an institution, at that location for the 3 reasons really that I've already talked about. So, continuing to hammer that home to those kids who are getting hit from every angle, every other person in the world, told every other different thing. So, and then continuing to build that relationship and have a relationship with them. Having that relationship again is a major part of having those kids, continue to stick with us.
Okay. Just going to turn the page. Questions about this week's game at Pitt? Kelly, go ahead.
I guess I'll try this. Any kind of injury updates or depth chart or anything like that you want to share? And then also, what have you seen from Pitt on film in the prep for this?
Okay.
Will there be depth chart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There will be a depth chart. There will be a depth chart. Okay. Injury-wise, we're a pretty healthy team right now. We got to continue to, obviously it's going into, what is this, game 5? There's some bumps and bruises and bangs and things like that we got to continue to work through and get over. And, that's where you put the trust into the training room and the training staff to get those guys ready to play.
What do you see about Pitt?
Defensively, they're the same thing they've been for the last really 4 years and the longest Coach Narduzzi's been there. They have, where they're going to be, what they're going to be playing. Every play on normal downs, first and second down, it all looks the same. 2 high safeties, 2 linebackers in the box, 1 over the slot, and 4 down linemen. Then they have their blitz packages where they can, where they, really heat you up, bring six guys, play a hot coverage concept, 2 under 3 deep, where it is, and the fact that it all looks the same, then is what is the challenging part of it, because, to get the indicators on when they're doing things. Up front, I think they've got some really good players, very similar to what they've had, for the last, 4 or 5 years. 2 inside guys that are, kind of sawed-off shorter guys that have great initial quickness, very physical. They're a physical football team. They have great initial quickness. They can, their issues in one-on-one blocks. They're low center of gravity. Linebackers do a good job of filling the gaps, playing their techniques, diagnosing plays on offense, and then the defensive ends, like they've had in the past, are long edge guys. They will do some different sub packages on third down. Offensively, they are again, Pitt is a physical football team. They pride themselves in being physical and being a tough physical team. Offensively, I think they've got all 5 starters on the O-line are back from last year. New offensive coordinator, but they are lining up and they are playing Pitt football. They want to line up and run the ball, be able to throw when needed, and when they have to, and when they do, they're very effective because of their ability to line up and run the football. So overall, all 3 facets of the game, we've got to understand what type of game we're going into. It's going to be on the road. It's 8 o'clock at night. I would imagine it'd probably be a little chill in the air, like it was today. And we've got to go up there and strap them up tight, lace them up tight, and get ready to play a physical game.
Go Rod, and then Ken.
You mentioned briefly about Jason and special teams. Have you made any personnel changes, especially maybe on punt protection, or do you anticipate any changes?
Yeah, I will not talk about any schematics, personnel changes at all.
Ken?
Just as far as Saturday goes, do you know yet kind of how you'll be dividing your time and what you'll be watching and how much you'll just leave with the defensive coaches to do their job?
Yeah, and I'm the head football coach, so I've got to see the game through all 3 phases of the game, understand the clock management that goes along with it. That is something I've taken pride in for a long time. As a young coach, I was fortunate under Coach O'Leary to really dive into that part of the game, and with him, it wasn't a choice. It was a forced it was forced now. I mean, he would make us draw the diagram of the football field now, and every little tick mark, how big it was, how wide it was. And so a lot of those lessons I learned as a young coach from him have really helped prepare me over the last, I guess 20 years now. And then my time with Coach Saban, that is something that is talked about every single day, that's worked on every single day. And so I have a lot of experience now, even for the last 5 years, as the game's going on, I'm constantly thinking about the clock, understanding the time, using the timeouts. But at the same time, this is my first time as a head guy on the sideline. I mean, that's the obvious thing, right? So I will have people that will, in instances, help me with that. We will divvy up how the time goes. I have a very good idea, not just a guesstimate, but I understand completely how my time will be spent throughout the day and throughout the game.
Patrick, if you want to wrap this up.
Coach Key, Patrick Conroe, Rambling Sports. In your heart and philosophy, in the realm of the philosophy of football, do you see yourself as a run-first type of offensive approach in general, or is that a game-to-game or intra-game decision?
Yeah, that's a game-to-game decision. Based on the opponent, based on what they're giving you, based on how they play defense, that's where where you have to develop a game plan, and a lot of it is based on how the defense plays. I'm a line coach. Yeah, I'd love to run the football every play, but in this day, you can't do that, and it's hard to score enough points to keep up doing that. So, we got to score points, but at the same time, you have to control the flow of the game, and that's something that we will spend a lot of time on this week as a coaching staff too, is understanding how all 3 phases must work together, and we have to make sure all 3 phases work together to put now the advantage back to us on how we control the game. People talk about controlling the line of scrimmage or controlling the clock. It's not about that. It's about controlling the game. And if the defense is in a certain situation and the offense is in a certain situation, well, special teams can't put them in a worse situation. So, we will understand throughout this week and on Saturday night as a complete total coaching staff how this entire game is going to go together.
Coach Key, thank you. Everybody who came out, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, especially on short notice.